Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. We're business coaches and retreat hosts for bold, purpose-driven women who are ready to build businesses that actually fit their lives.
This podcast is for the authentic, rebellious entrepreneur who's done playing by everyone else's rules. We know what works because we've lived it, coached it, and savored the journey.
Join us for real talk on business, life, and everything in between.
Hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I am Wendy Guth, and I'm here with
Krystal Eicher.
And we're talking about a topic actually today that has been on our mind for a while now. Though y'all missed a rather fabulous little dance number we just did to Disco Inferno to set us up for this important topic.
Yeah, right before she starts to record, she goes, "Burn, baby, burn." And I was like, now I'm going to have that song. Here's the earworm for you guys. Ready? Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno. Sorry, you guys did not tune in here to listen to me sing, though.
No. And I truly apologize from the bottom of my heart having done that. So with that said, today's topic is about burning it all down. What does that mean? What can you do about that? And I think of this, have you ever been so overwhelmed? You just wanted to make it all go away. Getting away from the fire
all of
the time.
time.
And what does it mean when it's like your business, oh my gosh, your family calendar? I mean, I get a glimpse at your calendar and it scares me. And what ultimately does this mean when you look at and you finally throw up your hands and say, my whole life, And what I think is interesting is this topic really came about because of conversations recently related to death by 1,000 cuts. And actually, I think ultimately it's really the same thing because it's each little demand. It's each little whatever that becomes the kindling until it's like a big ass pile and you're like, I'm so done. Where the matches, I'm going to ignite this. So hopefully, I think the first thing we want to be able to do is to say, I'm looking at Krystal like, I hope she agrees with me on this, but I believe wholeheartedly that she does. Because I think this has come out of her mouth more than mine, is there is no shame in any of this. And we are really here because we are in 10,000% solidarity. Ooh.
Yeah.
That really wasn't that hard a word.
Well, and I mean, we are not just 10,000% solidarity. Yes. Because you asked me the other day, what do you mean when you say you want to burn it all down?
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to clarify, it's not just that sometimes I want to burn Serendipitous Rebel down, and it's not because I want to burn our business down. And I love that we have the kind of business partner relationship where I can tell you that and you don't get freaked out by me because you know me so well to know that she's just having a moment. But that also I feel that way about home sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes I feel that I've been working with some volunteer work on the side for special education. And sometimes I want to burn that down. And it does sometimes feel like death by 1,000 cuts. And like, I can't breathe sometimes because of the weight of all of the responsibilities that I feel like I have. And ultimately, and we talk about it on this podcast all the time, and we talk about it with our clients all the time, burnout, overwhelm, there's so many different things that we can do it. And I think that some people are like, well, I'm not burned out. And to me, burnout is slightly different even than I want to burn it all down. Because we've talked about burnout being that slow erosion over time. And I want to burn it all down is where everything kind of implodes and converges all at once. And I think it's a really important thing to talk about too, because I also think that this time of year especially for moms, you know, we really thought, okay, we just need to get through summer. And if we get through summer and then school started,
Mhm.
get easier. And this is what
Yeah.
we talk about a lot here too. And it really became September became the convergence, at least in my world, of all of the back to school activities started
Sure.
up again. The sports started up again. So the chauffeuring started up again. The doctor's appointments started up again for my daughter. All of the school volunteering stuff started back
Mhm.
up again. Um, Business started picking up a little bit more again, as far as
Yes.
like things that we were doing, because everybody kind of went into back to work mode a little
Yep.
bit. Um, Everything started up again all at once.
Yeah. And I really see this as, let's see if I can couch it the right way. There's a burn it all down. It's like a fantasy, and
Yes.
it's in your mind, but I have to say, oh, did you just throw your
Well, do
hands
you
up?
know what I think of?
Huh.
Do you remember the movie Waiting to Exhale with Pete
Yes.
Houston? And is it Angelica? Is it what whose character was it? She sets the husband's car on fire. And
Mm.
remember that image where she puts all I mean, like, I don't want to do this, guys, just to clarify, but it's such a great scene because she puts all of her husband's clothes in a
Yes.
brand new car, and she
Yes.
sets the car on fire, and she turns
Yeah.
the match behind her as she's
Yeah.
walking off, and it's such like a power move, and you're just like, yes.
Yeah. Well, and that is such a fantasy. But the thing is, I think it's so important that we acknowledge that relief comes from these types of fantasies,
Mhm.
because the bottom line is this gives you permission to stop carrying it all. I think that um, because there's something psychological, actually. Really, what it is let's get into it. It's once again our nervous system
Mhm.
saying, I can't hold anymore. I can't do this anymore. And it's slipping into your mind that says, my fantasy is just to burn it all down. Um, and
Yeah.
it is perfectly normal. I hate to say it, but there should be a sense of relief that we're not the only ones who feel this way. You're not the only one who has these feelings, these desires.
Yeah, and what because I also think that sometimes people think, well, if I'm feeling this way, that yes, to your point, I'm the only one. There's a lot of it sometimes for me that's like, well, what is wrong with me that I seem to be struggling or stressed out all the time,
Mhm.
and everybody else seems to be doing it just fine. And again, why can't I get my shit together? And I think that almost makes me want to burn it down even more because it becomes a confidence thing in my head sometimes.
Mhm. Well, the thing really is, and I think this is like so many of the topics that the topics we discuss, and really the issues that come up with entrepreneurs, is that because many of us are in silos, we don't have people to talk to about this. And when that happens, when we do talk to someone, it becomes very performative. It's, oh, everything is fantastic, because maybe we don't know the people well enough, or maybe we don't trust them, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's interesting. And I know because one of the people, and we won't mention names, who's joining us on the cruise has actually mentioned this as well.
Mhm.
So I know that we are going to have this really amazing conversation that normalizes. And I think that's really the biggest thing about this, is that we all have, the death by 1,000 cuts to me is accumulated micro stresses.
Mhm.
And you do it enough, and at some point It's like, I've got to torch this. So being able, I think, to talk about this and acknowledge it and realize that it's there. So what can I do about it? Is so unbelievably important. So unbelievably important.
All right. So what can I do about it?
Um, well, I mean, I think that the first thing is to really look at whether this is, I think, a short-term or a long-term thing. And I would say the first thing, look at, are you in alignment?
Mm-hmm.
And if, and that doesn't mean, and I think it doesn't mean like on a daily basis, because I know no one who's aligned on a daily basis.
No.
You know, I think like I'm in a pretty good spot because I'm past some of these micro stresses, though I have new ones, but to a large extent, I'm past that. So I'm in a different space. But there's no way I would say that I'm ever aligned all the time. So, but let's just say you're chronically out of alignment and you do all the things. You show up, you deliver, and you're succeeding usually by someone else's metrics, but you feel like the empty, hollow. You know, we talk a lot about the importance of celebration um, and gratitude. But if you're not feeling any of that, you really have to look at your alignment. So, and yes.
So can I ask a question too? Because I think this is important to distinguish, because we talk about it so much on this podcast, like the difference between misalignment and burnout. Because I think those two differences are also, it's 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 noticing those two differences kind
Mm-hmm.
of tells you also, like, should you be burning it down or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I also think there's sometimes that burnout, misalignment, or that max Q feeling of I want to burn it all down, really are signals to give us a sign that maybe something needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, how do you pitch that? Does that make sense?
Okay. So when we're talking about misalignment, it's you're living or working out of sync with your values, your strengths, your desires, passions, purpose, all of that. Now, misalignment obviously has a direct connection to burnout, which
Mhm.
is really you're depleted from, I think, chronic misalignment, but also overwork, stress, emotional exhaustion. So I truly believe that misalignment leads to burnout,
Mhm.
but burnout is much greater than misalignment. Does that make sense?
Well, and yes, I think I kind of like would go back, push back just a time,
Sure.
because I think the litmus test is if you could take 2 weeks off but come back and feel good,
Hmm.
burned out. But if you would take 2 weeks off and you'd come back and you would still dread coming to work, that's misalignment.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I
I
would
mean,
think
it
like,
eliminates, right. I mean, but yes, that's a great way to look at it. Yes.
mm,
I mean, because with misalignment, it's a disconnection from what you're doing, from your purpose, identity, all of that. So putting yourself out of the situation,
mhm.
it's going to be there no matter where you are.
Yeah. And so when you think about, like, you get that max Q point of like, I just want to burn it all down because you
Yeah.
had this death by a thousand paper cut moments and all these like little micro
Hmm.
that happened. I think like that's like the red flag then that we're like, okay, we need to like, something's got to change at some point, because
Yes.
to the point of, you know, whether you're chronically stressed or you've been experienced burnout for a long time, you know, we've talked about it on this podcast. I have experienced bouts of that where I was just
Hmm.
physically sick. I was throwing up like 8 times a day.
Right.
It was
Which is
awful.
horrible.
And it's interesting because, like, actually right now this week I feel like there's been a convergence of a lot. I noticed in my body, I'm starting to feel the physical manifestations of a lot of those symptoms coming back.
Yeah, and that has to be nipped. We have to nip that.
Nipped in the butt, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And which is why this was such a timely podcast. So
Yes.
but it's also like it's getting ready to recognize and understand that I think what's different about this time as those things are feeling are starting to come up for me is that one, you and I have done just such a tremendous job in our company about normalizing the conversation. Okay.
Yes.
And I don't feel shame about it. So I'm not hiding it.
Right.
I'm coming out and telling you, like, oh my God. I mean, I'm not telling you I'm screaming into boxers sometimes. Or I think yesterday was I'm just laying in the middle of the floor on my back. What was
Yeah.
it? What was the message I left yesterday?
You actually said just that. I'm laying on the floor on my back. Can we just really kind of look at today and, make shifts? And of course, the
Yeah,
answer is, of course, we can.
yeah,
Because I think a critical piece of all of this as well, it has to do with energy and
mhm,
also self-care. And I read something that was, I thought, really interesting, and it's ROI on energy. And I had actually never really I never heard that. I know there's a ROI on your financial investment and things like that, but on your energy, this is the return on investment you receive, not time or money, but emotions, your creativity, your mental and physical energy. And it's not saying, was it worth it? It's, did it give back what I took in terms of your energy? Or even better than that, did it light me up or did it wear me down? And I actually think that, that is also because if you say to someone, I'm misaligned, a lot of times people are going to look at you like, you're a little cracked. But if you say to someone, did that light you up or did it drain you?
mhm,
People can respond to that. And I actually think that that's a powerful way to look at this as well. So before you burn something down, does it light you up?
yeah,
And then I think once you can discern those pieces, then it's like, okay, let's look at the micro stresses and let's see if it's possible to lessen them, because in a lot of cases you can't eliminate them. But
mhm,
what do we do to lessen them or to spread them out more?
yeah. And actually, and you said a couple of really good things in there too, from the celebration standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And taking that pause to celebrate a win, like if you got to the end of something, because I do this, I get to the end of something, I can ask the question, did it light me up?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I don't always feel energized by it. And I
Mm.
and I think, I want to just say that because I had a really big milestone with a nonprofit that I've been kind of working with. On Monday night, we had a really big event and it was great and it was successful and it culminated in this great thing. And I think I got to the finish line and I literally just like collapsed on
Mm.
with it, right? And I see this with a lot of business owners. They launch the offer,
Right.
you get to that finish line of like, I launched the offer, I got out the gate, and you get to like the end of closed cart, and you're just like, whew. And by all metrics, it would be a success. You're
Mm-hmm.
the thing that lit you up, but acknowledging like how much effort and energy it does actually take to do all of these things is important.
Yeah.
So building in as part of the launch plan, as part
Yes.
of the make it to the finish line thing, as part of the goal setting experience,
Yes.
building in that ritualizing gratitude and celebration. So acknowledging what a
Yes.
big win this moment was,
Yes.
but then also the self-care piece
Yeah,
of
is huge.
rest
Yeah.
to recover
Yeah.
is huge.
It made me remember. So back 10 years or so ago, I did a very large meeting, and it took, it's the kind of thing where it takes almost a year in preparation to do something that lasts, less than a week. And
Yeah.
every
And for
year,
context, guys, when she says really large meetings, she used to work with like some of the biggest name companies, national organizations that you can think of. And I'm not gonna throw you under the bus with names, but like you name a national organization, Wendy has planned their meeting. I just want to give context to that. Some people think large meetings and they're like, okay, so you had like 50 people. Oh, no, no,
oh,
no.
no,
I just
no,
want
no.
to give context to that,
Yeah.
by the
So this would be
way.
more like in the thousands and such.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so I always planned a vacation, a trip, and it was usually to Europe. It was off season, but it was also to some place I've never been to, and that would light up my senses. It wasn't just let's go to the beach, though. Don't get me wrong, I love the beach, but it was let's go somewhere to light up my senses and rejuvenate me. I loved what I did, but at the same time, I needed that I needed that shot in the butt to just bring me back to where I could then, whether it's begin planning the same meeting over again or do something else. And I think that's really the important thing. And thinking back, you had your meeting on Monday. Yesterday should have not been a work day, should not
No.
have been at all a work day.
Oh, and it just
And
jumps
I
right into other stuff.
apologize for not catching that.
No, well, and actually, normally Tuesday mornings, you and I tend to be a little bit quieter anyway. It should have naturally lent itself to that. I had to jump into stuff with the kids.
Yeah.
This is where we talk about like the convergence
Yes.
as female business owners, we're never just working, right?
Yes.
All the other different family obligations and things that come up as well that are not as easy. I mean, it's so funny how we go into business so that we can have like freedom and flexibility.
Yeah. It's not
And
always like that.
well, I actually feel like you almost get less as a work from home business owner in a lot of weird ways because you are so flexible. You now can be tapped in to do all these other things sometimes, or maybe that's just me that gets herself in that position. But I think that the crux of it is that it's really kind of acknowledging, and I didn't realize it actually until we had this conversation, until this I'm realizing it in real time, guys, as we're talking through this. It's like, oh, I had this like really big thing. I feel like death today, yesterday. And it's like, oh, I didn't actually build in
Right. Exactly.
the appropriate rest,
Yes.
relaxation,
Yeah.
or even the gratitude and celebration. Aside from a text message to my team that was like, that was great, good job, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think all of us do this in
Yeah.
some capacity, is like we finish the thing. And I saw a meme on Instagram the other day, and it's like so many high achieving women fail to acknowledge and celebrate their wins because it was just expected that they were
Oh,
going to.
yes. Very, very much so.
And it was like, well, yeah, we finished and so think about it in terms of your business. Well, of course we finished the launch and we sold. Like I expected that to happen because you're so well prepared, or the thing, because you're so well prepared in so many different
Sure.
ways and you are so good at what you do.
Sure.
But at the same time, you
Yeah.
still have to acknowledge it, because the fact of the matter is not everybody can do this, because if they could, they would.
Well, exactly. It's all, it made me think of, the football team that scores a touchdown. They're expected to do that. Most teams are expected to do that. And some of them end up getting penalized for over celebrating something that's expected to do. So I don't know if it's some sort of a happy dance, like think about the guys in the end zone, whatever it is. But the bottom
Dabbing.
line is you're dabbing, you're
It was
dabbing.
a dabbing. See,
That's
I'm such.
dabbing. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't
Which,
even know what it
yeah.
is. It's so dumb.
But you have to always remember you're the asset. We are the assets for our businesses. And from a strategic standpoint, it is imperative that we protect our energy, because otherwise there's just not going to be a business. And I think that, we overlook these things so bleeping much.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the other things that are related to wanting to burn this all down is we have a habit we keep trying to fix things that really just need to be released. And I think this is again that micro stress point, that it's really so important to take time and look over what it is that we're doing. And I think I've heard this from, what is it, the Tim Ferriss, the I work 5 hours a week and live in the
4 hours.
Caribbean kind of
Yep.
thing. But in some way, it's not just well, it is. It's more than just paring everything down and then finding people to outsource it to, because I think that there's a point we do need to like pare things down. We don't need to be constantly redesigning our offers or renaming our podcasts or restructuring our funnels and redoing time again, because in some ways, if it's not working, we're just kind of changing it to what someone else tells us we're supposed to do. We have to get to the bottom of where this actually ties in, what just popped into my head, with something that we'll talk about at a later time. But what does done look like? And what
Yeah.
does that mean?
Yeah.
And we
That's a
need to
whole
stop
podcast.
outsourcing when what we really need is to look internally. What is it that brings us joy? How can we make that happen? And it's one of those things too, if you always have your purpose in mind, we're more willing to struggle a bit to get there
Mhm.
because we know what done looks like.
Yeah, when we were talking about doing this podcast topic of like, I just want to burn it all down, I kind of thought to myself, when we want to burn it all down, and I think I might have even said this to you, I am literally sitting outside of my comfort zone in so many areas of my life
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
Right? With the volunteer work, I'm in territory I've never done before. That's really scary. With Serendipitous Rebel, we have been working on, new webinars and new things,
Mhm.
new marketing tactics, and really leaning into it. It's so good. It's so great because on one hand, in our business, and I'm just gonna like lay out all of our stuff, and you can like throw up your hands and tell me to stop at any time. But it's but it's really like, okay, we are so aligned on our offerings and our
Mhm.
offers. Okay. We are so aligned on our messaging and our branding and everything else. Now, the discomfort that we're sitting in is giving it the time piece, the time for it to
Mm.
marinate and the time for it to keep doing and to stay consistent with it. And that's an uncomfortable place to be in the messy middle of entrepreneurship,
Yep.
of giving it the time to work and
Yep.
understanding the difference between small tweaks to make things better, looking at the data, and maybe it's
Sure,
and burning
sure.
it all down. Like there's a
Right.
huge
Oh, there's a
difference
huge
between the two,
difference.
right?
Yeah.
And I heard somebody said it one, I can't remember who it was, but it's like the difference between like patching a leak and building a whole new boat.
Mhm.
I just have to figure out where to patch the leak. It's not
Yeah.
build a whole boat. And um and then, at home, there's all these new things with kids, because kids are a constant evolving trek, and there's always something that pops up with them. And so I think I get to that point where I just want to burn it all down because I'm so uncomfortable
Mm.
in every aspect of my life right now. And I think, and so then of course I think of SAVOUR.
Mhm. Yes,
A
very
key
much
pillar
so.
of SAVOUR is to step out of your comfort zone. And I think it's just kind of recognizing that I am out of my comfort zone, and that's okay, because
Yes.
where the growth happens.
Yes. Well, I think that that's exactly it. And the interesting piece about stepping out of your comfort zone and just growth in general is growth is not linear. It's non-linear.
Mhm.
And things don't actually usually ever happen on the trajectory that we want it to.
Mhm.
And we spend a lot of time making purposeful pivots and looking at reinvention and things of that nature. And it's perfectly normal. And you truly are one of the most confident people that I know. And it's
Ah,
always in, yeah, no, I believe
sorry.
this truly. No, but in a way, having these conversations with you and seeing like versions of you evolving, um, again, it normalizes this conversation. It
Mhm.
it also helps me when I have my moments of what the fuck?
So,
What the
so
fuck?
true.
And I hopefully by being able to have these conversations and being open to connecting with others who need these conversations, I think the really important thing is the ability to reflect on whatever it is, and especially these micro stresses. You're reflecting on it, you're sitting down and saying, why have I felt off? And that's in a lot of ways what it is. How is it showing up? Is it procrastination? Who, hello, me. Is it the gut? Is it your gut? Headaches. You told me you have a headache today.
Yeah,
Guess what?
100%.
You didn't celebrate yesterday. No, I'm just kidding. If you had just celebrated. But
This is
no,
all
but
your fault.
yeah, it is. It is. And it's like also you're daydreaming about escape.
Mhm.
Um, so, what ends up happening? Well, we talk to our square squad. Maybe we journal about it. But there's another voice that is in there, and it's our own. And one of the things that I think we don't talk enough about is our own intuition, our own gut. In the past, it's been a few years, I know a time that we both had that gut reaction that said, this situation isn't what we need or want. It
Yeah.
just happened that we both thought about it sort of in our own little silos. And
Yeah.
so it's so important that we also spend time listening to ourselves, whether it's a little whisper or it's a scream, and really dig into it a bit. Why is this, why is this happening? And are there conversations that we're avoiding in order to get the clarity or reflection?
So what I love about that is I know they say this about shame, but I think it's about feelings of burn it all down because I think it all comes from the same place sometimes. It,
Mm-hmm.
that it can't live it that thrives in the dark but cannot live in the light. And
Mm-hmm.
so the example you had used of us feeling that was what, 5 years ago? Five
It
years ago.
was, yeah.
Oh, or 4 years ago. I don't know, it was a lifetime ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting about that, I think about the people we were then versus the people we are now. You're right. We were in our silos. We were both feeling like we wanted to burn it down, but we weren't saying it to each other. And so that feeling manifested for way longer than it should have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, by way longer, what, a couple months maybe? I can't
Mm-hmm.
know exactly, but a couple months is a long time in the grand scheme of things if you're feeling that burnout, that disconnect.
Yep.
And the versus now, which was I felt it yesterday and I was immediately telling you yesterday,
Yes.
hey, I'm really kind of like in a I just want to burn it all down moment. And we were able to immediately process this out loud. What pivots can we put in place?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to look at the calendar and shift some things? And that doesn't have to be a big thing. It was just a matter of like, you know what? We were supposed to do a meeting yesterday for a tech preview for some software we were looking at implementing, and we just moved it to Thursday. Like it wasn't an earth shaking decision,
Correct.
but I think that, I could have, we could have forced it and pushed it through, and it would have just exasperated
Yep.
all of the feelings on the back end. And then I would have carried that over even further into today and not been able to record this podcast and not been able to like function as
Right.
a human being otherwise. And so I think that ability, and I think we need to normalize doing that, not just at work, because some of you work solo, so you don't have a business partner that you can like
Mm-hmm.
dump it on all the time. And I dump a lot on you. I know I do. But that, you know, have those conversations with your spouse. Have those
Mm-hmm.
conversations with your team, if you volunteer and you're doing other things.
Yeah.
Let's normalize and lead by example,
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Hey, this is too much. I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I need help, or I need to delegate this out, or we need to make decisions not to do this." Because I think that what you'll find is that it's not just you. Everybody else is also probably going to say, "Oh, I was also feeling that too." Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like just because you can, not every good idea fairy thing needs to be executed all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is, yes, very, very, very true. Um, and what just popped into my head is that a lot of this is that we crave that sense of relief.
Mhm.
It's not just burning it down because we're in some rage. And I think that really focusing on the ritualizing gratitude and celebration is really important. It's every single day we should be honoring how far we've come
Mhm.
and realizing and giving ourselves permission to want to do things differently.
Mhm.
Don't have to stick with the now. Um, because success doesn't come when we feel unfulfilled or we don't have the joy in our life or whatever it is, the
Mm.
energy, really. If we don't have the energy that we need, time and money don't really matter because ultimately it's going to make us sick. And I would just strongly encourage to figure out what it is that you need. It's like almost, I just thought we should all have like standard operating procedures for how we ritualize gratitude and celebration. And that really is on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And if by chance you have a big event and something that you have, like you put in so much time and energy, your resources have been so tied up in this, which is amazing. It's beyond amazing. It's for such a good cause, and this is where your energy needs to be. Okay, what do you do now that it's up? And it's not just, ooh, what's the next thing on my to-do list? There has to be this stop and this pause. And I know, because I know your via strengths, um, appreciation of beauty
Mhm.
is so important. Yesterday would have been a good day to go to the park and walk around and even
Oh,
just touch trees.
you
And
say that because you don't live in South Texas. It was
but
plenty hot and humid
oh, I'm so
yesterday.
sorry.
I'm not going
It was raining here. But again, I'm just thinking of
No,
whatever it is that
it's a
sparks.
good.
I always think that we all need like a little emergency box. And I think about like the picture that sparks joy. The I don't know, I'm tactile. So it's that piece of crushed velvet that I love to touch that immediately makes me happy. I turn to music
Mhm.
and that, so whatever it is, I really do think it's so important to have at ready at your fingertips and on some sort of standard operating procedure for you to have available whenever you need it.
I agree. I agree.
Well, that takes away some of the fun. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so kidding.
Well, then we have the least fun partnership
I
ever.
know, I
We
know.
agree a lot.
But again, it's like burning it down. or want the fantasy of burning it down is really meant to trigger what exactly does that mean? And it could be a wonderful escape. And if that's what you need, hey, run with it. And just dig in a little deeper and see if there's things that you can tweak just to make the fantasy less likely to become or want to become reality.
I agree. All right, guys. Well, on that note, if you've ever thought about burning down, we'd love to know. What are you scheduling? I guess I would want to ask people to like be very intentional. Okay, it's like I recognize this. So like, how are you intentionally scheduling in some gratitude, celebration, and self-care into your,
Mm-hmm.
what are you looking forward to? Do you have I know what the thing that's getting me on the horizon right now is we have a mastermind that we're looking forward to, a mastermind retreat coming up very soon.
Mm-hmm.
As of the recording of this podcast is 37 days and counting. And so I have a countdown right here on the corner of my desk. So knowing, but if you don't have those things, how can you build in those things? Because again, they are so, so important.
I couldn't agree more.
Yay. All right. Well, until next week, guys, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.